winner is Deku.
Oh, wait, Spider-Man died. Oh.
It's only been 4 months and we're already back to My Hero agenda posting and moral flexing. It's like Shigaraki vs. Mahito never left. Well, besides its quality, that is. Spider-Man vs. Deku is a great idea, don't get me wrong, but it definitely falls short compared to its predecessor, which, to be fair, so has every other episode after it. This gap in quality is most clear in the analyses. Compared to Shigaraki and Mahito's nearly flawless scripts, these two have a lot more holes you can poke in them. But before we get negative, let's cover two qualities the episodes share, the editing and cohesion. DJ continues to cook with his edits, and while I wouldn't put it on the same pedestal as his previous work this season, you cannot deny the quality of the motion graphics here. Both the panel and text edits are great here, with standouts being Miles' Vibranium suit segment and Deku's shoot style edits. As for the cohesion, I really like how both episodes show the themes of the match through the analyses, since we can't really seem to get them in the intro anymore. They parallel the series' messages about heroes very well with the endings, and I especially love how the end of Miles' analysis transitions into Deku's with the "but what is a hero" line. On the topic of both endings though, that's where my main issues lie. Miles has the issue of his ending not really relating to him as a character. Talking about the Spider-Verse representing how anyone can be a hero is great, but they don't really tie it back to Miles himself, and the analysis ends more on a note about the series than him. Meanwhile, Deku's ending manages to work in the hero message a lot better by relating it to how he defeated All For One and went back into hero work, but his ending has the issue of feeling pretty rushed. Connecting his friend's support during the Vigilante arc to his defeat of All For One flows well, but it skips over almost the entirety of the war arc. That's nearly 100 chapters that go unmentioned, and I think bringing up Deku wanting to save Shigaraki would have worked really well for the reaching out hands ending they go for. Now, with that said, both of these endings are still good, especially Deku's. The segment on how All For One's true weakness was people working together, along with the ending note of reaching out to others, are both a really good analysis of the series' themes, and I'm glad they took the time to dispel the minimum wage Deku memes and talk about his actual conclusion. Another big strength to his analysis is the pacing and fluidity it has. I don't mention it often, but how an analysis transitions between story coverage and versus coverage is extremely important, and Deku's does so masterfully. Each new topic builds off the last, always going for an and then approach rather than just changing subjects, and it works really well and is a big reason I prefer his analysis. That and his sidebars being hilarious. Similar to the analyses, I think the fight's main issue also lies in its ending. It's not Deku killing himself after powering up once level bad, but like I showed at the start, multiple people have been confused by the death and couldn't even tell that Deku had won. While the Vibranium suit overloading is a neat idea, I don't think it's portrayed the best with how similar it feels to Miles' other Venom blasts. But more importantly, it doesn't really work as an accidental kill. Deku beforehand makes it explicitly clear that his intention is to overload the suit's ability to absorb kinetic energy. While he wouldn't know the suit would explode if overloaded, his intention was still to punch it so hard he would break it, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize what happens to the person inside a suit of armor when you hit it so hard it breaks. But aside from that, I do really like the characterization here. Having it start as a friendly spar obviously works well, but I really like them going the extra step to show Deku's curiosity in what Miles can do as well. Deku's characterization is just done very well overall. He's super respectful to Miles throughout the whole fight, prioritizes civilian safety, gets to be a hero geek, and best of all, does all of it while being super cool. Shout out especially to the "I always do my best" line. I think that one feels really natural and is delivered great. Miles I unfortunately don't think is done quite as well. This is mostly due to a lot of his Spider-Verse references feeling super forced. The "I gotta do my own thing" line doesn't work as a response. It is so obviously forced in, but even worse is him screaming out "leap of faith" as a final attack line, which if it wasn't in Spanish, I'm sure would be getting completely clowned on. However, I do think his characterization is still overall good. He similarly shows Deku respect while still getting tons of his quips in, and his line about being the ultimate instead of amazing is just a perfect interaction. Speaking of perfect,
watched all your Venom movies, and they were pretty booty.
Let's talk about that animation quality. While I think this is overall the weakest solo Moro episode out of the 3 we've gotten, it is absolutely the best in terms of visuals. I've said before how Moro's greatest strength as an animator is how vivid his coloring is, and this fight fully leans into it. Miles' Venom powers feel very energetic thanks to how bright they are, but due to being a more flashy character, Deku naturally takes the focus here. His different quirks all look amazing. Black Whip actually looks accurate this time, which is very welcomed, and the colors and after images for Gear Shift look very nice, but I'd definitely say the best looking is Fajin, which to be fair might be biased since it's my favorite quirk, but I adore the almost pink level of brightness given to the red coloring and how the background often darkens to fully sell its color. Speaking of backgrounds, they are beautiful, especially the abandoned city. Its strong red hue from the sunrise gives a really good contrast to the earlier darker blue background and enhances the colors a lot for what's already an extremely vivid climax. Beyond the colors used, I think this episode probably has the smoothest animation out of his fights as well. Bowser gives it some tough competition repetition with how detailed those rigs are, but I think the 3D usage here really pushes Deku vs. Spider-Man to another level. The movement is just super fluid, along with giving both characters super dynamic poses towards the climax. Aside from the building scene, there's no sequences where I can say the movement doesn't look great. In the same vein as the character movement, the camera work is also exceptional. Two moments in particular really stand out to me there. Firstly, there's the panning shot of Miles and Deku swinging up the side of a building. The tracking here is super smooth, and I really love how it switches focus between Miles and Deku without changing the camera's path, instead of having them rotate in and out of frame, and it looks really good. Secondly is the continuous shot after both go into their powered up forms. Similar to the building shot, the camera here stays on a fixed angle while the characters play around that, jumping between the background and foreground for an extremely seamless and dynamic shot. On a final note for the animation quality, I adore the numerous comic aesthetics done in this fight. Halftones are constantly used in the fight, whether it's to enhance Miles' electric effects or to separate the characters from the background. Onomatopoeia and text box pop-ups help further sell the comic aesthetic, and most noticeably are the panel sections for the start and end. These look incredible and are a big step up from Atom vs. Apocalypse, showing actual movement and giving far more dynamic panels and poses. Additionally, Deku flexing his reality above fiction transcendence to swing out of a manga panel into the animation might just be the coolest looking shot in the entire fight. Overall, this animation is just beautiful and a definite contender for the best looking one in the entire series. The choreography, meanwhile, while not as jaw-droppingly incredible, is still great. Deku gets to use all of his quirks, and with the exception of Smokescreen, which, let's be real, who cares about Smokescreen, all of them are used in interesting and dynamic ways. Gearshift especially gets really good usage throughout the climax. Miles similarly uses every one of his abilities, which honestly really surprised me. I like how they use Deku breaking the web shooter to force Miles into using the electro webbing, and having Miles reference anime moves helps keep his Venom abilities unique, while giving a fun parallel to Deku's hero geeking. With the super expansive ability usage, we also get lots of great power interactions, which is pretty natural given the similarity in powers. The Spider Sense countering Deku's Smokescreen while Danger Sense counters Miles' invisibility is a fun trade-off, and I like how Miles uses Danger Sense's more limited alerts to his advantage with the web trap. But by far the best ability interactions here are between Black Whip and the web swinging, and more importantly what they bring to the choreography overall. My most wanted thing going into this episode was for a Spider-Man episode to finally use web swinging to its full potential and focus more on elevated combat, and I received it in spades. Excluding the ending for obvious reasons, the characters touched the ground in this fight a total of 1 time. Let me repeat that. Aside from the 2-second long shots from Deku, the characters never touched the ground throughout the entire animation. This is everything I could have wanted and more. The total focus on aerial combat works so well and lets the mobility and speed both characters are known for shine brighter than ever, while also allowing for far more dynamic shots and choreography. Miles especially benefits from this. Having a Spider-Man episode that actually lets them use the environment to their full advantage is so satisfying. Miles and Deku using falling rubble to swing off of, and Miles maneuvering through the falling building both single-handedly solo every web swinging usage done in a previous Spidey episode, and it's not close. While the choreography by itself is good, this amazing focus on airborne fighting is what really pushes it to the next level for me. Ironically though, despite being the best aspect of the choreography, the fight also suffers from being too floaty at times. What I mean by that is that a large majority of the hits in this fight lack any real impact and don't have the follow through to make up for it. There's a lot of examples you can point to, but the main offenders for this are Miles' Venom attacks and Deku's final punch. The Venom abilities, while cool looking, never have any impact throughout the fight, and because of that they feel very underwhelming whenever they actually land. Deku's final hit though especially suffers. MHA is a series praised for its impactful hits, and this scene just gives none of it. There's zero impact to it, and the large punches suddenly becoming small definitely doesn't help either, which makes it really funny in retrospect that Deku's weakest feeling hit is the one that overloaded the suit. On the topic of sound, my last critique on the fight is its track. I don't think it's a bad track per se, it's just not for me. This is mainly on the instrumental. Really not a fan of how it sounds, especially towards the climax with the solo it gets. Beyond the instrumental though, I'm really tired of every single rap track we get in a DB being a rap battle. They've gotten repetitive and often don't feel like they fit. There's also the bafflingly awful lyric of "Stomp you like some black forces and Tim's, never forget that I'm him," which is probably the worst lyric in any death battle track ever. Again though, less the track being bad outright and more it just not being for me. I unfortunately only listen to real music like death metal, Imperial German marching music, and the My Little Pony OST. Now, as for the post-analysis, I think it's pretty good. I think having superpowers be a tie only to explain how one of Deku's quirks completely fucks over Miles is pretty funny, but hey, nothing wrong with a little sugarcoating. Anyways, my only real issue with this post-analysis is how much they sugarcoat the power category. I understand wanting it to feel closer, but like, why are we putting Deku value lower than his previous episode. Hell, 4 episodes ago, Shigaraki was scaled to that Teraton feat against a weaker opponent. It's not a huge deal, but it's just something that irks me. Then again, the Deku smurfing memes would probably be a lot worse if they had him at country level, so maybe this was for the best. As for the next time, I'll be blunt with this one. Hulk vs. Godzilla is currently my least favorite matchup, and one I'm not really looking forward to. I think the size difference here is way too bad to overlook, and the large majority of ideas I've seen for this matchup make it feel more like Hulk fighting a generic big monster and not having Godzilla do anything interesting. Sure, Hulk fights big people all the time, but Godzilla doesn't, and forcing him to play around an opponent that doesn't at all work well for his fighting style just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Still, I am open to being proven wrong if the episode does turn out to be good, and more importantly, I'm excited for how they handle the thematic side of this matchup, as that's one part of it I do actually really like. Also, I'm really hoping Godzilla wins. He is my GOAT and my hero. Academia. All in all, Deku vs. Spider-Man was a great episode, and one that was honestly a lot better than I was expecting it to be. To be fair, the analyses and verdict were fairly box standard, but the animation really shined here. Moro delivered his best looking fight so far, with the colors, models, and camera work all being taken up to the next level. The choreography gave us great variety as well, and the focus on aerial combat gave me what I wanted most for a Spider-Man run back. I'd say overall an 8 out of 10 feels like a pretty fair score for this episode. Definitely one of the better ones so far this season, especially because it mentions the iconic character Sero. Anyways, thank you all for watching, leave a black card if you want Hulk to die, and I'll see you all in the next video.